Hello everyone, welcome back. So today's session you must have seen is about India and its contribution in global fashion. So we have none other than Mr. Umang Hutheesing with us. So he is a royal cultural revivalist as well as a costume designer. He's been designing costumes for the royal families across the globe for I think many years, and that is why I feel that for you to get knowledge about India's contribution in global fashion from him is the most ethical thing to be right now. So I guess जितना अच्छी तरीके से आप लोग इसको समझते हो, सुनते हो, okay, and grasp करते हो knowledge, it will be really nice for you. And just one thing that you can ask all relevant questions in the Q&A section. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A round wherein we'll be having relevant questions asking to Umang sir. So I guess this is a very big opportunity for all of you because not everyone gets to hear from Umang sir, right? Or you being students at this important stage, आपको इतना अच्छा platform मिल रहा है. You are really fortunate. So take very good opportunity of this. All right. So I welcome Umang sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible? And yeah? Yes, perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to be here today and talk to students of BRDS. I have known Bhanwar Bhai since we started the studio, and I'm very proud of his contribution and his work. I think BRDS has become a very important national institute, and the students coming out of this institute are very talented and are very conscious of what they're doing. I, therefore, feel honored and privileged to talk to all of you and look forward to a larger interaction. India and global design. Since all of you are studying fashion, I think it would be necessary for me to talk about, what role India has played from beginning of civilization to now on a global platform. You all probably know very well-known Indian designers and their names and what they're doing in current collections and 2021 fall and 2020 winter. Well, I'm not going to go into all of that. I'm going to go into a larger perspective of where India plays a role on a global platform with the world's best. So this is a global design in India. Cotton weaving. You just celebrated Handloom Day on the 7th. So it's cotton weaving is the oldest and most important industrial art of India. And cotton products and textiles were highly fashionable from ancient times to modern day. Mohenjo-daro, one of the old civilizations of the world. You have the Nile Valley civilization, you have the Indus Valley civilization, you have the Chinese civilization, you have Mesopotamian civilization. All these civilizations, ancient, from where human society as we know it today was created. We'll have a look at that. The oldest cotton fragment ever found, woven cloth, was found in Mohenjo-daro. And it was in 1750 BC. And that is the oldest cotton shred ever found. And the Indian fabrics of that time were so beautiful and hand woven and hand spun. There was no machine, there was electricity in 1750 BC. And they were known as woven air, running water, and evening dew. Such poetic terms were given to them. And you can see the drape of the Buddha, the fabric, and you can see it coming down like water or it flowing like air. And this was a luxury that India gave to the world even at that time. China. Again, great civilization, and China is recorded to have given silk to the world. India gave cotton. But it is recorded in our Vedas, in fact, in the early Vedic period, that silkworms and silk was woven in India. So was brocade with shining gold fabrics long before trade with China had started. So there is a great possibility that certain silks like we have from Assam and Bihar, were developed in India long before the Chinese silk came to India. Egypt, another Nile Valley civilization, a very important civilization, and we all talk of the great pyramids and Sphinx. And this is one of the greatest pharaohs of that time was Ramesses II, like Tutankhamun. And this is a fragment from textiles found in the tomb of Ramesses II, and they're known as the Fustat textiles. The Fustat textiles have been carbon dated to have originated from Gujarat. And these are exquisite block printed textiles. And the similar designs are still found in Anjar and are, Ajrak prints 2 millenniums later. 2,000 years, and we still continue this ancient tradition of decorating textiles and making them fashionable around the world. Greece, ancient Greece and Alexander the Great. In 325 BC, when Alexander conquered, came to the Indus Valley and had conquered Egypt and Mesopotamia, and he comes here, Herodotus, the Greek historian, alludes to the cotton when he speaks of a kind of tree wool, exceeding in beauty and excellence to that of sheep, as being made into beautiful garments by Indians. Can you imagine the Greeks had not experienced the luxuries of Indian cotton fabric till Alexander came to India? Rome, Italy. We talk of Italy and we talk of fashion. Well, Emperor Augustus Caesar, Caesar the Great, taxed Indian textiles heavily and had them restricted for the highest nobility. They carried out an extensive trade in Indian textiles and spread the fashion of Indian modes in the West. You see, Rome, the historian Pliny II has recorded that the drain on Roman economy was so huge, and that on the port of Surat, almost 300,000 gold coins would come every year, just in one port, from Rome in exchange and purchase of Indian cotton goods. And that was a drain on the Roman economy. So Indian fashion was restricted to the highest nobility there. France. We talk of France and we talk of fashion. No, Paris rules fashion and Paris Fashion Week. No. Well, one of the greatest emperors of France was Napoleon. And Napoleon's wife, Josephine, Empress Josephine, in this wonderful portrait that was commissioned, which hangs in the museum, you see Empress Josephine wearing a pashmina outfit made from fabrics imported from India. That is how luxurious Indian fabrics were and fashionable even in France. Mexico and the Americas. Let us know the United States was mostly ruled by Mexico as an empire till, much, much later. And this is a story that most people do not know, that in 1620, a young princess named Mira was kidnapped from the port of Surat by the Portuguese and taken to the Philippines. And Mira there stayed for a long time, and she was, as a young girl, and was put under a lot of stress. Later, a Spanish count saved her from there, the Philippines, and took her to Mexico. She had gone in a very beautifully embroidered lehenga and a blouse and odana. And in Mexico, she became a saint, and her outfit became the inspiration for the national outfit of Mexico, which is called China Poblana. And the outfit of Mira from Gujarat has inspired all the clothing from South America and Central America. That is India's contribution into the Americas. The East, well, Arab traders from India took the patola and the ikat and the bandhani to the East, and Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, and all over South China Sea. The double ikat is found as a great inspiration for royal patronage and royal outfits. In fact, on this slide, you can see the Indonesian couple nobility wearing brocade sherwani, but on the canopy, you will see the patola, which symbolizes royal patronage and royal positions. So great was the demand of Indian textiles in Europe, and then by the 18th century, and this is a time when Europe has colonized most of the world and is ruling them, and they're taking raw materials from their colonies and selling back, high value products and draining the colonies of their resources. And so Indian cotton and Indian textiles in the 18th century were banned in Europe. And penal laws were put into place to prevent the entry of Indian goods. So by the 20th century, Mahatma Gandhi made hand spinning and weaving of cotton yarn and the charkha symbols of Swaraj. Until today, we celebrate Handloom Day, and handloom is the backbone of Indian employment in a very large way. And thus, khadi became the warp and weft of India's independence. And I think it is one of the most beautiful fabrics that India has given to the world, is khadi, hand-spun, hand-woven khadi. Jawaharlal Nehru, at India's independence, the Red Fort had very beautifully articulated that the history of India may well be written with textiles as its leading motif. And that is exactly what we're going to, the history of India through textiles. Indian handlooms. The Indian handlooms and textiles are the second largest economic employment sector after agriculture. The artisans create a magnificent and magical variety of hand-woven and handcrafted textiles. But unfortunately, they could not compete with industrial products, and their patronage shrunk substantially. Many of these craftsmen were marginalized and impoverished. What is needed for India to be a global leader again? Well, design, branding, imaging, and product quality. These four are new parameters for India to lead again. And after 50 years of India's independence, when industrialization took over and so many other issues, we had to relook at and reposition our country to be a global leader again. Please, students, keep these four things in mind: design, branding, imaging, and product quality. So when India turned 50, in August 1997, the United Nations was celebrating India's independence in New York. And I happened to be there. I just graduated from Boston at Babson with entrepreneurship. And I was in New York. I attended the United Nations event and many others thereafter. And this is a press clippings from WWD, which is Women's Wear Daily, which is a Bible of fashion worldwide. And it's daily. This is August in New York. And here it says, there's a photograph of me. And it says, the best outfit worn was by Umang Hutheesing in a Mughal hand-embroidered outfit. And that raised eyebrows everywhere in the fashion industry in New York. The same month, again, here is the Windsor windows. It's a clipping of Dodi and Diana's party, celebrating the Windsor collection auction of the English royal family. And that is, I'm with Dawn Mello. Dawn Mello was the president of Bergdorf, and then she became president of Zinnia and Armani. And I started with Dawn Mello in New York at Bergdorf in 1997. It is the most famous store for luxurious goods. This grabbed attention so much that Ralph Lauren agreed to do my exhibition at the Met Gala. I don't know how many of you have seen The Devil Wears Prada and Ocean's 8, the latest Ocean's 8. Ocean's 8 is about the Met Gala, and it is the most important event, fashion event in the world, I would say, because it brings the most spectacular people together at the Costume Institute, and we were going to do exhibition of our collection. But that same year, Gianni Versace gets shot in Miami, and India in 97 was still an impoverished country and not so important on the world stage. This is exactly 25 years ago, as we celebrate 75 years now. And so this exhibition went to do a Versace show. Well, we should not be deterred by such things. They keep on happening. So in 99, I was invited to do a shoot with American Vogue. The Devil Wears Prada, and it's a wonderful lady, she's the most powerful woman. She took Queen Elizabeth to England Fashion Week with her. And American Vogue is one of the most powerful magazines in the world. And all the rest of the Vogue put together don't even match up to a small percentage of what American Vogue sells and influences worldwide. So they did 22 pages with me and Indian inspired collections of the world's most famous designers. So there you have Rahul Khanna, because he used to be a VJ on MTV in New York. So I'd taken him as my star, because people knew Bollywood stars and Bollywood, and then uh, a beautiful dress made out of sequins, and there's footprints in the sand, the beginning of design and fashion. And the Banjaras used to be the nomadic communities, and they would sell this beautiful embroidered and block printed skirts on the beaches of Goa. And this is a Yamamoto skirt inspired by the Banjaras, but it's a beautiful Yamamoto from Japan. Cheruti. India gave khaki to the world, and so many of our people wear khaki, and so this is school uniform, and children were dressed in khaki. And here Maggie Rizvi, one of the top models in the US, who had come here to do the shoot, is in khaki, but there's a Katori work done. See on her skirt from Kutch, and this is a Cheruti outfit made in khadi and Katori work. Max Mara, it's a beautiful pink tuck shirt in cotton and a skirt with abra work, and Ari work done by Max Mara. And these were sold all over the world and were high-end fashion. Here you have John Galliano and Fendi. Look at this rickshaw print at the back and the John Galliano skirt, and you will see where a subtle inspiration comes from. And look at the rickshaws at the bottom, just above the wheel, encrustment of and design on the metal. And then you see the Fendi trousers with the abla and metal work, badla work done. And you will see how our daily influence and what we take for granted can create such inspirations of beautiful fashion, even for John Galliano and Fendi. And here you have, that's me, playing elephant polo. And you have Maggie Rizvi giving me the cup. I won the elephant polo trophy, and that's a Chanel dress. Chanel, there's a very famous thing by Diane Wheeler, who said, shocking pink is the navy blue of India. Because Rajput men wear shocking pink, and it's a color of valor. It's a man's color. It's not blue. And so here you have Chanel making a beautiful dress out of brocade, shiny, beautiful brocade. And that's how Chanel was influenced also by India. Here you have, Maggie Rizvi, in a beautiful pink shirt and jeans, and you have this yellow and look at the color combination and the setup. And then look at the elephants. These are elephants from Amer in Jaipur. And look at the color, the pink, the blue, the yellow, the pattai, her hanging on below her hand. And all this, and you'll see where the inspiration and the dialogue of design comes from. It's very beautiful. I mean, subtle things can give you such powerful images to create color combinations, design, contrasts, and inspiration. And then here you have a Jill Sander dress. And that is me, and there's Rahul Khanna. These are all from my collection. And Jill Sander has taken, again, a beautiful gold brocade. Look at the length of Rahul Khanna's, Angarkha and Choga, and her, it's the same length, same cut. Just the sleeves have been removed, and a beautiful dress has been created with the inspiration of Indian royal costumes. Again, in India, wedding is the most important event. And so here you have the bride and groom getting married. There's a beautiful story to this. I'll just show you some images, out of 22. And John Galliano created this magnificent, elegant outfit. And if you see the embroideries on this, you see the tassels of Rahul Khanna's kamarband and her tassels coming, and the brass work on the doors, and those designs incorporated into the border of this John Galliano dress. A sari-inspired dress. Beautiful, And finally, you have, this entire end of this thing is in my collection. The couple gets married, and here, she's sort of becoming the queen of, the fashion world, which she did become. And she's wearing a beautiful hand-embroidered ghagra and a blouse, but there is no odna. So we converted, a ghagra and a blouse into a skirt and a top for the European and Western markets. And this became the fashion statement for New York society in '99. And this all the stores in New York and society were plastered with richly embroidered skirts and blouses. 25 years ago, we ruled New York as well. Coming back to India, and the government of India asked me to work with the Weavers Service Center in the year 2000 and promote Indian textiles to international markets and find fashion products in the global market. India's position as a major supplier of fashion, last line if you read, fashion products in the global market. Then, IMG and Lakme invited me to create Fashion Week in India, FTCI. And if you see, my responsibilities were inviting key industries and corporates as guests to Fashion Week, inviting industry corporates to official parties, in specific cases, international buyers, and working with IMG Media to create a package for international media and secure coverage. So, all this was, very important to create India's first Fashion Week. In fact, invitation across India went on my name, and I was delighted to create something that would promote Indian fashion designers. And for the next 10 years, the focus was promoting in FTCI and Indian designers so that it could percolate down and help take glamour to the grassroots. Then, of course, in 2010, 10 years later, a very important thing had happened. Yves Saint Laurent YSL was nominated as the most important fashion icon of the 20th century. And before he passed away, we had started collaborating to a magnificent exhibition. Now, the grandest event of the 20th century was of 1911, the Delhi Darbar. And the Delhi Darbar was when all the Maharajas went in their full splendor to Delhi, when King George V and Queen Mary had come to India, and the Delhi Darbar was held. So from 1911 to 1947, the finest couture in the world was made for the Maharajas. In fact, Hermes used to make saddles for the Maharajas, Louis Vuitton used to make their bags, and Cartier their jewels. I mean, all the finest firms we know of design and luxury today used to come to India to court the patronage of our Maharajas. So from 1911 to 1947, the finest of luxe, design, and fashion came from the Maharajas. From 1947 onwards, we got independence, and khadi became, and simplicity became our, national image. And from 1950 onwards, there was a time when Yves Saint Laurent started designing, with Yves Saint Laurent and Pierre Berger and me. From 1950 to 2008, it was Yves Saint Laurent who started designing, and first for Christian Dior, and then started his own firm. And fashion, as we know it today, is a creation of Yves Saint Laurent. And it was wonderful to work with them and do a show in Paris. So, in 10th of February 2010, 266 pieces from our collection went to the Yves Saint Laurent Museum with Cartier and Yves Saint Laurent as patrons. 3 presidents of France attended, and Sarkozy and Carla Bruni were the patrons. And it opened the Year of India in France as well as Paris Fashion Week. And these are the beautiful exhibition of the costumes of Delhi Darbar. And here you will see Yves Saint Laurent was the first European or international designer to create a sari. And here in the first slide, you will see, the Maharaja costumes and the 2 young princes and a black sari made by Yves Saint Laurent right in the mid-80s, 1980s. And he was invited by Rajiv Gandhi to do a fashion show in India, and he did it on the Gateway of India. It was spectacular. And so it was right to collaborate and do this. So we took the grandeur of Indian costumes to Paris. So important and grand was this event. My costumes was in the museum from February, and 1 month later, 400 of Yves Saint Laurent creations went to the Petit Palais, which is a fantastic exhibition hall in Paris. And together, we juxtapose 100 years of fine couture, which was never before done on this planet, before or after. And everybody in the world who was involved with high-end fashion and design attended. You can name the designer around the world, and they were all there. 3 presidents of France, and here you have, for next 3 months, Maharajas will rule Paris. The impact, influence, and inspiration of this exhibition, Global Designers, was immense. And this is important because in 2010, what we did is still today percolating and inspiring people. Hermes in 2011, Hermes was the first most luxurious firms, created the saris. And here you have the Hermes saris, and I haven't put the slides out. I worked with the chairman and friends of Hermes, and they had all been to the exhibition and collection. Canali made the Nawab jacket in 2011, and Christian Lacroix made Syrian and Indian inspired costumes, which was, again, women in the Oriental as his inspiration. And Christian Louboutin made India inspired heels. And here you have the embroidered heels in the Christian Louboutin. Louis Vuitton, LVMH, which is the world's most luxurious firm, decided to celebrate Diwali in 454 stores across the world. That's a great thing that brought Diwali to the fashion houses of the world. And here you have, a beautiful poshak made by Marc Jacobs from vintage Indian sari. Now, this was one of the most important things because even Marc Jacobs and Louis Vuitton had to acknowledge and beautifully present the India collection in its beautiful hues. And this is what we need to create. I mean, look at the elegance, look at the style, look at the panache. And yet it is, it's an Indian sari made in a beautiful, beautiful way. Lucia Hennessy, the owner of LVMH, has, the H in the LVMH, also commissioned a sari from me. And here you have Lucia Hennessy wearing a pink, beautiful pink hand-embroidered sari by Umang Hutheesing. Now, when most of the world is going to LVMH to buy fashion and look for inspiration, here we are influencing them with our style and our fashion. Karl Lagerfeld, another great designer. Unfortunately, he also passed away. There's me and Karl Lagerfeld in Paris at Café Flore. And after my exhibition in 2010, was so inspired that in 2012, he presented the Mumbai Paris collection for Chanel. And this is Karl Lagerfeld's, India-inspired collection for Chanel. If you haven't seen it, I would strongly recommend all of you look into the works of these great designers and see what they have done from India and Indian inspiration. Vogue India and we collaborated. And yeah, this is a patola outfit, a Gujarat patola made into a beautiful outfit by Gucci. Look at the inspiration. It's beautiful, the elegance, the simplicity, and yet it's very stylish. DKNY made a dress, a peplum kind of dress with the baluchari from Bengal. And you have Missoni, who made Lucknowi chicken curry dress. Yeah, you have, beautiful dress made from Lucknow chicken curry. And look at this, Roberto Cavalli dress made out of bandhani. Isn't that beautiful? And how bandhani can be used? No, it's stunning. And mushroom into a dress by Miho Museum. Again, I gave this is my mushroom that I had given. And the patola as well. We worked with this. I think it's very, very smart and elegant. And again, this is an ethro dress made out of Kashmiri jamewa. The top is made of Kashmiri jamewa. The skirt is made of bandhani. Yeah. Todd's made the Kanchipuram silk into a beautiful bag. And look at this, how brocades can be used and how smart it is finished. Then in 2012, the World Craft Council and the Ministry of, Government of India, Ministry of Textiles and the Development of Commissioner for Handicrafts collaborated to create the World Crafts Council Summit in India, the General Assembly and curtain raiser for the Golden Jubilee in 2014. In fact, the World Craft Council works in the UNESCO, and people from I don't know how many across the world had come, and I was invited to one of the key speakers, and so was the head of Moji from Japan and Rolf von Buren, who's the founder of Lotus. I would strongly recommend that you look at the works done by these people because they are really fantastic. Jean-François Lesage, who did for the French couture, the oldest embroidery house in the world. And it was Jean-François, Rolf, and I who gave, and I got a standing ovation, and our subject was "The Future of Luxury is Handmade." Now, coming to the world of fashion, how does fashion start and how does fashion influence? Well, fashion starts from top down and not bottom up. It is always the top that influences what people want to wear and what people want to. So, so branding and positioning and imaging are very important. Well, nobody in our social structure is higher than royalty. And if you look at it, even in England, it's the Queen of England. Most of the European countries, and even Japan, and all developed countries have a monarchy, and their king or queen stands for the epitome of refinement, sophistication, and luxury. So my idea was, let us focus on royalty, heads of state as positioning, and museums for imaging. Because what goes into a museum? In India, museums are not that celebrated because India is a living culture. But museums are a repertoire of what is most important to humanity. It documents humanity's achievements and successes, and for future generations to not acknowledge and enjoy. Therefore, putting our things into museums was a very important part of my program. All my museum collection, nothing was for sale, but it was just to let people know what India can do and what India has done and what is still possible. The beauty of Indian hand craftsmanship. So we started. The most powerful in the world, man in the world, is of course the President of the United States. And it is nice to put an American president in a bandgala. Why should we put up, our people in suits? Why not put presidents across the world in our bandgala? And then I was asked to make panels under the program of art in embassies, to do panels for Roosevelt House, the Obama government. And in early part of the century, my family and my firm had done the interiors of the East Wing of the White House as well. So it continued the tradition of putting the most important political and powerful house in the world with Indian influence. Then London. This is my collection in 2014 with Holland and Holland. Now, most people may not know Holland and Holland. It's very different than the House of Holland. Holland and Holland are the official outfitters for the Queen of England and the royal family, several royal families across Europe. And so here you have the crest of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles on the top. And we created this amazing handcrafted collection, Bahrain-inspired collection for 2014. It was so well received that the Royal Union, because East meets West with Holland and Rich's collection inspired by the Indian Rajas of Maharajas. So you have Prince Charles and you have Camilla. And so first we did the White House, then we do Buckingham Palace. Then you had the letter from the Queen of Bhutan, and she had come here and had a wonderful letter to me and handed it, saying how she loved our collection, and I made a few things for Bhutanese royal family as well. Bahrain, the Queen of Bahrain then invited me to do a spectacular show at the Bahrain National Museum. And here we have, we took two things. We took the historic collection from our private collection, and also with it showed the living heritage of India and fine craftsmanship. So both, vintage heritage as well as living heritage were presented together. And it was in the museum for 3.5 months and attracted people from across the Middle East and Europe. Many royals from of the Middle East attended this. Mexico. Again in 2016, Mexico built one of the world's most important museum, the Baroque Museum. And it was built by the architect Toyo Ito and won several awards. It's the most expensive and most high-tech museum in the world, even till today. And that is the Mexican flag and Indian flag, with me standing there. The president of Mexico inaugurated it. And you can see the creations of Umang Hutheesing. And it was on for 4 months in Mexico. And that is me welcoming the official delegates of Mexico to the exhibition in the museum. The museum opened with my show. And then in 2006, I also did a wonderful exhibition in Japan. Here you see, I was asked by King Muhammad Ahmad Al Thani, one of the royal families of Qatar, who owns the magnificent collection of Mughal jewels, the original jewels of Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, the Nizam. And these jewels were to be presented in Japan at the Miho Museum. And I was asked to do the entire textiles and create a display of these wonderful jewels. So this is what we had created from very, very beautiful hand-spun, hand-woven malmal. Because in the Mughal times, there was no electricity and this Indian heat. Malmal was a fabric of luxury. So here you have, taking in, and the Japanese are not so easy to please. They're very, very difficult. They're very, very particular. And so to have this in the Miho Museum in the permanent collection was a great honor and an achievement. And this is all delicately embroidered, hand embroidered in Mughal style. Then here you have Sheikh Ahmad Al Thani, the Maharani of Gwalior and the Maharani of Baroda at the opening of the exhibition in Kyoto, Japan. Indian royalty. The Indian royalty has been a patron of handcrafted things. The finest things in the world were either produced for the court or for the temple. You make it for the gods or you make it for the kings who represent gods on earth. So Indian royalty has always been great patrons of tradition, and not just fabrics and weaving and luxury, but also hand craftsmanship. And so it was important to get them involved and take Indian design back to the levels that it used to be, designs fit for a king. And so here you have one of India's oldest ruling families, the Maharana of Mewar, Shriji Arvind Singh Ji, here in classical Indian outfit at his son's wedding. And yeah, this is in London, in a very beautiful brocade and a black tie, both of them from beautiful hand-woven brocades made by me for him. And I'm a great fan of his, the great patron of Indian culture. Yeah, for his son's wedding, and here with the beautiful Angarkha for Laksharaj and the velvet jacket with the half Angarkhi. These are traditional outfits of Udaipur, and we recreated them for the wedding. So not just the fabrics and handcrafts, but also the costumes. Yeah, you have the Maharani of Mewar and the Maharani of Orissa, Bhutiba, and you have Sangeeta ji, both, in a beautiful chiffon saris and hand-embroidered royal capes made by me as great patrons. And the Maharani of Baroda, here in a beautiful jacket over her sari and a beautiful peplum. See, you don't have to abandon the sari to be contemporary. Here you have the sari or the Maharani, India, beautiful chiffon sari, and yet very contemporary and very stylish. And it gives you an idea how things can be worn and how things can be presented. So, and Radhika Raje has been nominated as one of the most glamorous queens of India and a great patron of art and culture and a very dear friend. So that is Radhika. Maharaja Gat Singh Ji of Jodhpur, and here you have, him in again, a very, very, very refined man, upholder of great traditions and a very kind heart, wearing an Umang Hutheesing drape, a shawl, and we're laughing away and talking about how Indian heritage should be promoted and preserved and promoted. There you have Maharaja Padmanabh Singh of Pacho, one of the, he walked the ramp for Dolce & Gabbana in Milan, and Giorgio Armani as well to a party for him. And there he is in the Umang Hutheesing cape, and here is Diya Kumari in my cape as an outfit as well. Pacho and me in Jaipur. There's the Nawab of Rampur and other princesses in my outfits for a Hello magazine show we did in Ahmedabad. And yeah, Princess Mriganka Kumari of Jammu and Kashmir, very, very beautiful girl, princess rather, and again a dear friend. I would say she's also one of my most favorite youngsters. And whenever I do, she's always been kind to, be one of my showstoppers. And there's her in my outfits. a great patron of heritage and handcraftsmanship. The young royals of India, of Gujarat, and from breeches and bandgalas to angarkhas and togas, mochi kam saris, morodi kam, lenghas, and again beautiful abhas. All these are traditional Gujarat textiles which have been recreated for royal patronage in our studios. When you look at them and see how elegant they still look, we don't need to change what is not broken. We don't fix what is not broken. This elegance must continue. Yeah, you had a Prince of Gondal and the Prince of Jasdan and the Princess of Sandur, in regal attire. And there, of course, is the young, sweet Ananya Rajesh India of Gwalior, again, a sari and a cape. She's studying at RISD now, design at RISD. A beautiful niece and a great student of fashion. So regal fashion, once we start from the top, it percolates down and refines itself. And we hope that they continue to inspire lots of people around the world for design. And then, this is royalty graces the ramp for me. It's very difficult to get them to walk, but they have been kind enough not to walk the ramp, but to promote Indian textile and handcraftsmanship along with me. There's Maharavan of Jaisalmer, the Princess of Himachal, Riya Sen as the Princess of Tripura, the Princess of Orissa in Nepal, and the Prince of Santrampur, Gujarat, in beautiful handcrafted regal costumes. I did this show for a fashion week, Delhi Times Fashion Week in Delhi, as a finale. And this is for the Hello Show in Ahmedabad, and the Nawab of Rampur, and the Maharani of Baroda, the Maharani of Sandur, the Princess of Mandawa, and the Maharani of Jasdan, gracing the ramp elegantly as my last finale of my show in my outfits. And of course, this is lots of young royals on the ramp for me in Bombay, a celebration of Indian luxury. So I thank all of them who have become great patrons to revive Indian tradition, Indian design, and Indian fashion, and taking it to the world. Now, what does all this work do? Well, fashion and design is also power, like yoga is also power. It is soft power, but it is very powerful. Soft power is very, very powerful. And the Prime Minister himself has acknowledged that we must use soft power to gain influence in the world. And so all this has led globally to immense importance of India and recognition of our work. Right. Yeah. All this resulted in 2 knighthoods for me. I got a wonderful recognition as a chevalier from 2 different prestigious honor knighthoods from around the world, and Knights of Malta and Knights of Anjou. In fact, I was in, Knights of Malta, which is Order of St. John, the oldest knights in the world, said, for 30 years, building international brotherhood through culture, fashion, and the arts. And they help us promote some of the 7 sustainable goals, the development goals of the United Nations through different projects. So this is how important even soft power is. Fashion is a soft power that influences youngsters around the world. So I encourage you to take your work not frivolously, but seriously, and you can have a great impact around the world. That is me in my knighthood. And from ancient times to modern day, India's luxurious textile heritage still continues to fascinate the world. And here you have the beautiful creation of luxury of Sri Krishna. Because nobody is more luxurious than him. Yeah. And so here we have the Indian grammar of Indian luxury. Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed this, and going from a journey right from Indus Valley to modern day, and a celebration of Indian textiles and Indian fashion. And I'm sure all of you, the new generation of Indians, youngsters, hold great promise, and all of you hold great promise. And your confidence, your knowledge, your style will lead India to the new generation of being a very powerful nation in the world, not just in fashion, but in all forms of knowledge and achievements. I wish you all the best and wish you great success. Thank you. Ready for questions and answers for anybody? Happy to.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're most welcome here, coming to the frame.
Knowledge was really precious for us, and I'm sure a lot of students, they might be wondering, so much of things to grasp from you. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, we've gone through almost 4,000 years of fashion, more than 4,000 years.
That's true. That's very true. So guys, if you have any questions, you can throw in that, or if you have any questions later also, we can, discuss out on that also. So
let me tell you, with BRDS, I have a wonderful relationship of respect and honor. And I would say that, if you have something now, fine, but even later on, if you have any question, or if you have I'm happy to mentor and work with all of you through your institute anytime you want. The idea is to inspire all of you to achieve and be much, much grander than what I have done. And I'm sure you all will exceed what we have done so far.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. And yes, I'm sure they would love that you would mentor them. So thank you so much for
You're
that.
welcome.
Thank you.
Anytime.
And sir has been gracing our fashion shows as well lately, like 2019-18. He has always been kind to come and grace the occasions. So I'm sure in future also you'll definitely meet him, and maybe after scenario gets this COVID scenario gets good, we'll be definitely having more seminars like that.
One important thing, let me tell you, I have one thing against fashion institutions, and Charles Andre Ames, who created NID, had very beautifully said, do not fix what is not broken. The heritage of Indian textiles, like you see on the Bharat, is we have a great tradition of beautifully wearing our textiles. We do not need to cut up a sari and make absurd clothing. No, what we need is to be patron and proud patrons of what we have inherited as a legacy and take it forward, in our own way and style. Why should we want to dress our people in suits and awkward outfits when we can dress the world in bandgalas, sherwanis, and saris? Let us take taking our heritage and our tradition to the world, not just be enslaved in our minds and absorb what they have, and that too not even in a correct way. No, be proud Indians and take it to the world in our way. Don't be just recipients. No, let us conquer the world again.
Definitely, sir. It is our responsibility, especially all you future designers. It is your responsibility to time and again uplift our beautiful heritage that we already have. We all are, our ancestors. We all are skilled enough. We all are talented enough, and we have such good heritage, Indian heritage with us. So let us all take this forward. All right. So with that note, I think we shall end the session here. Yes, so thank you.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'm ready to answer. If you have anybody has any questions.
So one student has asked that how do you take inspirations and what inspired you to choose this path?
Okay, I'll tell you. I'm not a fashion student. I studied. I did entrepreneurship in Boston at Babson, and then I did my master's in Japan in international trade and finance. I worked with several important financial firms and banks, and I was a Wall Street boy when Wall Street was an important part in the 80s. Then, it was at India's 50 years of independence in 97 that suddenly, I lived 20 years abroad. I lived all over the world. And you saw that each country took tremendous pride in Europe and America of where they came from and what they had inherited. While in India, we had lost all sense of national pride in our food, in our clothing, in our culture. And our several centuries of being ruled had enslaved our minds so much that we could not celebrate what and who we are. So that is what inspired me to say, hey, I'm in New York and I have this, I'm going to start showing India to the world as it was and as it can be again. And that was my beginning and inspiration. And I worked for 25 years now, very strongly, not to promote me, but to promote India, India to the world. And all my museum shows, like for example, my show in Mexico at the museum, Miho Museum, in the first month, we had 110,000 visitors, 110,000 visitors visiting the museum of the magnificent Maharaja show, all from South America and North America, not Indians. And all of them were inspired by this. And even if they, and that creates a great bridge of friendship and understanding, cultural bridge between two nations and two cultures. And even they can buy Indian textiles and fashion for anybody, and they become patrons of India. So it's not that nothing in the museum was for sale. You don't go to a museum, it's not a shopping mall. Everything is just exhibited. So they buy from various Indian designers and Indian artisans, and it promotes India. Similarly, in Bahrain, in Mexico, in Japan, all these shows were done to promote India. And the impact of this has been immense. And I feel very privileged and honored that I have been able to do so. And I'm sure all of you will do even better.
Thank you. That was such an inspiring story. Yeah, another question of the same genre, that how did you start your journey? So I think...
Yeah, I mean, this is how I started my journey. And, and because my family is closely connected to a rich, privileged legacy, I said, let us aim at the top, start from the top. You can't start from the bottom. Start from the top and, do the White House, do the Buckingham Palace, do the Middle Eastern royalty, do Japan, and the rest will follow. Fashion starts from top down. Do LVMH, do Hermes, do Yves Saint Laurent. I mean, do Paris, do London, New York, Paris, London, Japan. And we did it all. We ticked all the boxes, and you saw the consequence of the top fashion house of the world working with Indian fabrics to create beautiful creations. That opens up the market for our artisans and craftsmen worldwide. See, opening new markets was the idea, and exposing people around the world to the luxuries of India. So we do not have to just ape the West. We have enough rich legacy to have our own identity. And that is what the youth of India should stand for. Our own cultural identity with self-confidence.
Thank you so much, sir. Someone has asked...
Yeah, fair enough, anonymous. To succeed in the industry, is it more strategic process, or is it about luck, and how compared to your competitors you stand out? Well, you see, this is a question that, do times make a man, or does the man make the times? Well, both. And I would say, I'm not God-fearing, but I'm God-loving. And I'm glad that God gave me the opportunity to do what I have done. I do not look at other people involved in design or fashion as competitors. I see them as colleagues. And therefore, in a country of 1.4 billion people and a world of over 5 billion people, don't look at others as competitors. Collaborate, respect what other people do. Their achievements are also important, and everybody does great work, and everybody also makes mistakes. Well, be magnanimous, support each other, and you will find that you will live in a very happier space. Well, so I do not look at anybody as competition, and whatever little I may have achieved, I'm happy to have done. There's a lot more I need to do, and I respect all my fashion colleagues who have done a lot as well around the world. I salute them very much. Nobody is big or small in the world. Everybody is good.
Thank you so much for that. Which textile attracts you the most, or say what is the best one craftsmanship of India? I don't think there's one.
You know, I did a very lovely show just before COVID, to celebrate 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi. And it was the World Design Organization, for Ahmedabad. It was the first step of Ahmedabad Design Week because it is the Prime Minister's project to create Ahmedabad as a world design hub. And so our Minister of Textile, Piyush Goyal, also opened the exhibition, and we did a show called From Khadi to Kinkhab, the journey of Indian textiles, celebrating 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi. And in that, we brought in, we did beautiful weaves in 300 count in Khadi in Murshidabad. Don't even call it Khadi, call it Malmal. A very, very fine Malmal, which is also a luxury, and so exquisitely fine Ashavalis and Banarasis and Paithanis woven with rich brocades and gold thread. So in this vast spectrum lies the beauty and magic of Indian textile heritage. And each one is beautiful, depends on how it is worn and for what occasion.
Well said. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Darshana. It's very much. Which textile answer do you offer internships to students? Unfortunately, I don't offer internships, not because that is not important, but working with the kind of projects we do with museums and with royal families, it is very important to maintain very high level of privacy and discretion. And by contract, I'm not allowed to share these images or this work with the outside world. And therefore, even in this, I've not shown you what we are doing because royalty doesn't like that, and nor do museums. It has to be restricted to a very, very, very small circle of So yes, if later on, if we have a project and we need to take, like for example, when I worked with American Vogue, I took interns from NID to work on that project because Vogue allowed me. I took a permission to take 5 students to work with me. So on specific projects, when we have them, yes. And I would be very happy to work with your institutes and select some students who are motivated and talented to assist me. Absolutely. But let the good project come and we'll work on that together.
Definitely. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So I guess we do not have more questions now.
There's one. Let's see if there is anything. Mr. Raza and in this quarter, how do you manage designing as people are afraid of trying outfits? Well, people are not afraid of trying outfits. That is not true. There are certain procedures we do follow. I mean, I do not make general collection. I do not make threat. I only make costumes for occasion wear and grand occasion wear, not even ordinary occasion wear. And they are the patrons of these are conscious of these current times, and so are we. We take all procedures for hygiene and safety, and they come and we dress them up, and they enjoy what we have created. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, I think we're done with the questions.
Okay, and I'm sure what I have done today. The whole idea was to plant a seed of inception in your brain. I mean, in your mind. Let this seed grow. Let it inspire you. Let it grow. And whenever in process of time, a little flower of question or a little fruit of inspiration comes up, we are always there to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your time, for your efforts, for making students understand so much about appreciating India and Indian crafts and their contribution in the global fashion. So I'm sure बहुत सारे students को बहुत कुछ समझ आया होगा आज, and your faculties, they're great mentors. They keep repeating these things, but hearing this from such a great personality, I'm sure आपको बहुत अच्छा लगा होगा. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, Umang sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
Thank you. With that, we end the session. Thank you so much.